Many women develop insulin resistance long before blood tests ever flag a problem, and the early signs are often brushed off as stress, aging, or just hormones. Subtle symptoms like stubborn belly fat, constant cravings, afternoon energy crashes, mood swings, poor sleep, and difficulty losing weight are not random. They're early metabolic signals that insulin, the hormone that controls blood sugar and fat storage, isn't working as efficiently as it should. Insulin resistance doesn't appear overnight. It develops quietly, affecting your energy, appetite, hormones, and metabolism years before diabetes is ever mentioned. And because it interacts closely with estrogen, cortisol, and thyroid hormones, women often feel the effects earlier and more intensely. In this video, you'll learn the early warning signs of insulin resistance in women, why they show up before lab results change, and how to respond naturally before the problem escalates. Unexplained weight gain and belly fat that doesn't respond to dieting. If you're eating the same way you always have, maybe even exercising more, yet your weight keeps creeping up, especially around your belly, this is not a lack of discipline, and it's not getting older. This is one of the earliest and most overlooked signs of insulin resistance in women, often appearing years before blood tests show anything abnormal. Insulin resistance changes how your body stores fat, burns energy, and responds to food, even when your diet looks healthy on paper. Why insulin resistance causes stubborn weight gain. Insulin is a hormone that helps move sugar glucose from your blood into your cells for energy. When your cells become resistant to insulin, glucose can't enter easily, so your body produces more insulin to compensate. High insulin sends one clear message to your body: store fat, don't burn it. This is why insulin resistance causes weight gain even without overeating. Why the weight shows up around the belly. Belly fat is especially sensitive to insulin. When insulin stays elevated, fat storage increases in the abdomen. Fat burning slows down. Visceral fat, deep belly fat, increases. Inflammation rises. Cravings intensify. This is not cosmetic fat, it's metabolic fat. Many women notice jeans tighter at the waist, weight gain despite calorie control, belly fat that doesn't respond to exercise, bloating that turns into persistent fullness, a soft or puffy midsection. These are classic insulin resistance patterns. Why dieting often makes it worse. Chronic dieting can increase insulin resistance by stressing the body. When you skip meals, eat very low calories, cut carbs too aggressively. Overexercise, rely on caffeine to suppress hunger. Your cortisol, stress hormone, rises. High cortisol makes insulin resistance worse, especially in women. So the harder you diet, the more stubborn the weight becomes. Why this happens. Even if blood sugar is normal. Insulin resistance often develops long before blood sugar rises. Early-stage insulin resistance looks like normal fasting glucose, normal A1C, but high insulin behind the scenes. Doctors don't routinely test insulin levels, so many women are told, your labs are fine, while their body is clearly struggling. Other clues that weight gain is insulin-related. Weight gain, linked to insulin resistance, often comes with strong sugar or carb cravings, fatigue after meals, afternoon energy crashes, irritability when hungry, difficulty losing weight despite effort, bloating that worsens with carbs, feeling better when meals include protein. These patterns matter more than the scale alone. Why women are especially vulnerable. Women are more prone to insulin resistance due to estrogen fluctuations, PMS, perimenopause, menopause, stress and cortisol sensitivity, sleep disruption, undereating during the day, hormonal birth control history, pregnancy-related metabolic shifts. This means insulin resistance can develop quietly and early. What helps without extreme dieting. Early insulin resistance responds best to gentle consistency, not restriction. Helpful habits include eating protein at every meal, Not skipping breakfast, spacing meals 3 to 4 hours apart, reducing liquid sugar, adding daily walking, sleeping consistently, calming stress before fixing calories. These changes lower insulin before blood tests ever flag a problem. Unexplained weight gain, especially stubborn belly fat that doesn't respond to dieting, is one of the earliest warning signs of insulin resistance in women. It's not about willpower or calories alone. It's about how your body is responding to insulin. When you address insulin resistance early, weight loss becomes possible again, naturally, safely, and sustainably. Constant cravings, especially for sugar and carbs. If you feel like you're always thinking about food, especially sweets, bread, or snacks, this isn't a lack of discipline. Constant cravings are one of the earliest and strongest signs of insulin resistance, and they often appear years before blood tests show a problem. Your body isn't asking for pleasure, it's asking for metabolic balance. Many women blame stress, emotions, or habits for cravings, but hormonally, cravings are a blood sugar alarm. Why insulin resistance triggers cravings. Insulin's job is to move glucose sugar from your blood into your cells so it can be used for energy. When cells become resistant to insulin, glucose can't enter efficiently, even though there's plenty of sugar in your bloodstream. Your cells feel starved even when you've eaten. So your brain responds by increasing hunger signals. This leads to constant hunger shortly after meals, intense cravings for quick energy, sugar and refined carbs, snacking without feeling satisfied, feeling hangry or irritable, eating more but feeling less energized. This is not overeating, it's cellular starvation. Why sugar and carb cravings are so strong. When insulin resistance begins, glucose stays in the blood. Insulin rises higher to compensate. Blood sugar spikes and crashes faster. After a spike, your blood sugar drops quickly and your brain panics. This triggers sugar cravings, carb cravings, chocolate cravings before periods, late-night snacking urges. The craving isn't random, it's your brain trying to rescue falling blood sugar. Why cravings are worse in women. Women are especially sensitive to insulin changes because insulin interacts with other hormones, estrogen. Fluctuating estrogen, especially after 35, reduces insulin sensitivity, making cravings stronger around PMS or perimenopause. Low progesterone increases appetite and emotional eating. Cortisol, stress hormone. Stress raises blood sugar, which then raises insulin, leading to bigger crashes and cravings. Poor sleep. Even one bad night increases insulin resistance the next day, making cravings almost unavoidable. This is why cravings often feel worse before your period, during stressful weeks, after poor sleep, during perimenopause or menopause. Signs your cravings are insulin-driven, not emotional. Your cravings are likely hormonal if you notice craving sugar right after eating, never feeling full or satisfied, cravings paired with fatigue or brain fog, shakiness or anxiety when hungry, irritability if meals are delayed, needing something sweet to feel normal, cravings strongest in the afternoon or evening. These are metabolic warning signs. Why willpower doesn't work here. Insulin resistance turns cravings into a biological demand, not a choice. Your brain prioritizes survival over logic. No amount of motivation can override unstable blood sugar. That's why restrictive diets often make cravings worse, not better. How to calm cravings at the root. You don't need to fight cravings, you need to stabilize insulin. 1. Always pair carbs with protein. Protein slows glucose release and prevents crashes. 2. Eat regularly. Skipping meals spikes insulin and cortisol. 3. Avoid sugar on an empty stomach. It creates the biggest spike and crash cycle. 4. Prioritize breakfast with protein. This sets insulin tone for the entire day. 5. Reduce ultra-processed foods. They trigger insulin spikes without nourishment. 6. Manage stress daily. Lower cortisol equals lower insulin swings. Constant sugar and carb cravings are one of the earliest signs of insulin resistance in women, long before labs change. These cravings aren't emotional weakness, they're metabolic distress signals. When you stabilize blood sugar and insulin, cravings naturally fade, appetite normalizes, and your body finally feels safe again. Energy crashes, brain fog, and feeling tired after meals. If you eat a meal and feel more tired instead of energized, if your brain feels foggy an hour after eating, or if you need coffee just to function in the afternoon, these are not signs of laziness or poor sleep alone. They are some of the earliest functional signs of insulin resistance, long before blood tests flag a problem. Many women assume post-meal fatigue is normal. It's not. A healthy metabolism should give you steady energy after eating, not exhaustion. What's supposed to happen after you eat? In a healthy body, food enters the bloodstream as glucose. Insulin gently guides glucose into your cells. Cells use glucose for energy. Blood sugar returns to normal. You feel focused, calm, and satisfied. But when insulin resistance begins, this process breaks down. What happens with early insulin resistance? When your cells stop responding well to insulin, glucose stays in the bloodstream longer. Insulin levels rise higher to compensate. Energy can't enter cells efficiently. Blood sugar swings up and down. This creates the crash fog fatigue cycle many women live with daily. Why you feel exhausted after meals. 1. Glucose can't enter cells properly. Even though there's plenty of fuel in your blood, your cells are locked out. This causes heavy fatigue, muscle weakness, low motivation, feeling drained after eating. Your body has energy, it just can't use it well. 2. Blood sugar spikes, sharp drops. High-carb or unbalanced meals cause glucose to spike quickly. Insulin overreacts, pulling sugar down too fast. This sudden drop leads to sleepiness, shakiness, irritability, brain fog, intense cravings soon after. Many women describe this as a food coma. 3. Brain fog is a blood sugar symptom. Your brain depends on steady glucose. When levels fluctuate, you may notice trouble concentrating, forgetting words, slow thinking, feeling mentally cloudy, difficulty making decisions. This is often misdiagnosed as stress, anxiety, or early aging. Why this happens more in women. Women are especially sensitive to insulin changes because of estrogen fluctuations, progesterone decline after 35 to 40, cortisol sensitivity, sleep disruption, chronic dieting or undereating. Hormonal shifts make blood sugar swings feel more dramatic, even when labs look normal. Common patterns that signal insulin-driven fatigue. You may recognize these: feeling sleepy 30 to 90 minutes after meals, needing sugar or coffee to stay alert, afternoon energy crashes 2 to 4 p.m., foggy thinking after lunch, fatigue despite adequate sleep, cravings returning quickly after eating. These are metabolic signals, not motivation problems. Meals that often trigger crashes. Be aware of cereal or toast-only breakfasts, pastries, muffins, granola bars, fruit-only meals, sugary coffee drinks, large carb-heavy lunches, skipping protein earlier in the day. These foods spike insulin quickly without stabilizing energy. How to reduce energy crashes. Naturally. 1. Always eat protein first. Protein slows glucose absorption and improves insulin response. 2. Build balanced meals. Protein plus fiber plus healthy fats equals steady energy. 3. Avoid long gaps between meals. Skipping meals worsens insulin resistance over time. 4. Add a short walk after eating. 10 minutes of movement improves glucose uptake immediately. 5. Reduce liquid sugars. Juices and sweetened drinks spike insulin fastest. 6. Eat breakfast with protein. This sets insulin sensitivity for the entire day. Feeling tired, foggy, or mentally slow after meals is one of the clearest early warning signs of insulin resistance in women. It means your cells aren't accessing energy properly, even if your blood tests look normal. By stabilizing blood sugar with balanced meals, regular eating, and gentle movement, you can restore mental clarity, steady energy, and metabolic health, often before insulin resistance progresses any further. Skin changes, dark patches, and hormonal acne. If your skin has changed in ways that don't respond to skincare, darker patches, stubborn acne along the jawline, or skin tags appearing out of nowhere, your hormones may be signaling insulin resistance long before blood tests ever do. These skin changes are not cosmetic problems. They are external signs of internal metabolic stress, and for many women, the skin is the first place insulin resistance shows up. Your skin is highly sensitive to insulin, cortisol, and androgen hormones. When insulin stays elevated for too long, it quietly alters how skin cells grow, repair, and inflame. How insulin resistance shows up on the skin. When insulin resistance develops, the body produces more insulin to keep blood sugar under control. High insulin doesn't stay in the bloodstream quietly. It sends powerful growth signals throughout the body, including to the skin. 1. Dark patches, acanthosis nigricans. One of the clearest early signs of insulin resistance is darkened, velvety skin, often appearing on the back of the neck, underarms, inner thighs, elbows, knuckles, under the breasts. This happens because high insulin stimulates skin cells to grow faster and produce more pigment. These patches are not dirt and cannot be scrubbed away. They're metabolic signals. Many women notice these changes years before being told they have insulin issues. 2. Skin tags appearing suddenly. Skin tags are small, soft growths that often appear around the neck, underarms, eyelids, groin. While common with age, a sudden increase in skin tags is strongly linked to insulin resistance. High insulin acts as a growth hormone for skin tissue. This is your body reacting to prolonged insulin exposure. 3. Hormonal acne, especially jawline and chin. Insulin resistance increases androgen hormones like testosterone. Higher androgens stimulate oil glands, leading to jawline acne, chin breakouts, deep cystic pimples, acne that worsens before periods, acne that doesn't respond to topical treatments. This type of acne is hormonal, not caused by dirty skin or poor skincare. 4. Oily skin plus enlarged pores. High insulin and androgens increase sebum production. This leads to shiny skin, clogged pores, blackheads, frequent breakouts. Women often notice their skin texture changing, even if they've never struggled with acne before. 5. Slow skin healing and inflammation. Insulin resistance increases inflammation throughout the body. This can cause pimples that take longer to heal, redness, sensitivity, post-acne, dark marks lingering longer, flare-ups during stress or poor sleep. Your skin is reflecting what's happening internally. Why these skin signs are often ignored. Most women are told, it's hormonal, it's stressful, it's just aging. But insulin resistance is often the root cause, especially when skin changes appear alongside weight gain, cravings, fatigue, irregular cycles, belly fat. Skin symptoms rarely appear alone. What makes skin symptoms worse? Insulin-related skin issues intensify with high sugar intake, refined carbs, poor sleep, chronic stress, skipping meals, caffeine on an empty stomach. Each of these raises insulin or cortisol, both worsen skin signals. How to support skin health by supporting insulin. You don't fix insulin-related skin issues with products alone, you support them internally. 1. Balance meals with protein, fiber, and healthy fats. This prevents insulin spikes. 2. Avoid sugary breakfasts. They trigger insulin surges that worsen acne and pigmentation. 3. Eat regularly. Skipping meals raises cortisol, which worsens insulin resistance. 4. Prioritize sleep. Poor sleep worsens insulin sensitivity overnight. 5. Reduce ultra-processed foods. They increase inflammation and androgen activity. 6. Manage stress gently. Stress hormones amplify insulin-driven skin symptoms. Dark patches, skin tags, and hormonal acne are not random skin issues. They are early, visible signs of insulin resistance. Your skin is communicating what blood tests may not yet show. When you stabilize insulin through balanced meals, better sleep, and calmer daily rhythms, skin clarity often improves naturally because the root cause is finally being addressed. Irregular periods, PMS, and hormone chaos. If your periods have become irregular, PMS feels stronger than it used to, or your cycle seems unpredictable for no clear reason, insulin resistance may be quietly disrupting your hormones, long before blood tests show anything abnormal. Many women think period problems are caused only by estrogen or progesterone. But insulin plays a powerful, often overlooked role in how your cycle functions. When insulin isn't working properly, your entire hormonal system becomes noisier, less coordinated, and harder to regulate. How insulin resistance disrupts the menstrual cycle. Insulin is not just a blood sugar hormone, it directly communicates with your ovaries, adrenal glands, and brain. When insulin levels stay high, ovulation becomes weaker or inconsistent. Progesterone drops, estrogen becomes unbalanced, cortisol rises, PMS intensifies. This creates a cascade of hormonal chaos that shows up first in your cycle. 1. Insulin resistance can stop or delay ovulation. Ovulation is essential for hormone balance. When insulin is elevated, ovarian follicles don't mature properly. Ovulation may be delayed or skipped. Progesterone is not produced. No ovulation equals low progesterone. Low progesterone leads to irregular cycles, spotting, short cycles, intense PMS, anxiety, sleep problems. This is one of the earliest reproductive signs of insulin resistance. 2. Insulin raises androgens, male-type hormones. High insulin stimulates the ovaries to produce more androgens, such as testosterone. This hormonal shift can cause irregular or missing periods, hormonal acne, excess hair growth, scalp hair thinning, worsened PMS. This is why insulin resistance and PCOS are closely linked, even in women who don't meet full PCOS criteria. 3. Estrogen becomes unbalanced. Insulin resistance interferes with how estrogen is used and cleared. This often leads to estrogen dominance, where estrogen feels too strong relative to progesterone. Symptoms include heavy or painful periods, bloating before your period, breast tenderness, headaches, mood swings, irritability. Many women treat these symptoms as normal PMS without realizing insulin is a root cause. 4. Cortisol makes PMS worse. Insulin resistance stresses the body. Stress raises cortisol. High cortisol further suppresses ovulation and progesterone. This creates a loop: insulin resistance arrow, stress arrow, higher cortisol. Higher cortisol, worse PMS. Worse PMS, cravings, higher insulin. Emotional PMS, anxiety, and irritability are often driven by this metabolic hormonal loop. 5. Why PMS feels more emotional with insulin resistance. Your brain depends on stable glucose. When insulin resistance causes blood sugar swings, your brain chemistry becomes unstable too. This can cause sudden mood shifts, anxiety before periods, emotional sensitivity, irritability, low motivation, feeling overwhelmed. These are not personality issues, they are hormone metabolism signals. Signs your cycle. Issues may be insulin-driven. Look for patterns such as irregular or missing periods, PMS getting worse over time, cravings before your period, acne or hair changes with cycle changes, cycles longer than 35 days, spotting before periods, feeling emotionally out of control before menstruation. These signs often appear years before insulin resistance is diagnosed. How to support hormone balance. When insulin is the issue. 1. Eat balanced meals consistently. Protein, fiber, and healthy fats stabilize insulin and support ovulation. 2. Stop skipping meals. Long gaps raise cortisol and worsen cycle symptoms. 3. Reduce sugar and refined carbs. These intensify insulin spikes and PMS. 4. Walk after meals. Even 10 minutes improves insulin sensitivity. 5. Prioritize sleep. Poor sleep worsens insulin resistance and hormone imbalance. 6. Manage stress daily. Lower cortisol protects progesterone production. Irregular periods, intense PMS, and cycle chaos are often early reproductive warning signs of insulin resistance. When insulin stays high, ovulation weakens, progesterone drops, estrogen becomes unbalanced, and mood symptoms intensify. Addressing insulin early doesn't just improve blood sugar, it helps restore hormone rhythm, calm PMS, and bring your cycle back into balance long before lab tests ever catch the problem. Putting the signs together and what to do next. Insulin resistance rarely appears overnight. It builds quietly, showing up through small, everyday symptoms long before blood tests ever turn abnormal. Weight gain that doesn't respond to dieting, constant sugar cravings, energy crashes after meals, skin changes, and irregular cycles are not separate problems. They are connected signals coming from the same root issue. Your cells are no longer responding efficiently to insulin. What makes insulin resistance especially tricky for women is that hormones amplify its effects. Estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, and thyroid hormones all interact with insulin. When insulin stops working well, these hormones fall out of rhythm. Cycles become irregular, PMS intensifies, mood becomes unstable, sleep suffers, and fat storage, especially around the belly, increases. This isn't a lack of discipline or willpower. It's your metabolism trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. The most important thing to understand is this: insulin resistance is reversible, especially when caught early. You don't need extreme diets, long fasts, or exhausting workouts. In fact, those often make things worse by raising cortisol and further disrupting blood sugar. Instead, improvement comes from steady, repeatable habits that calm your metabolic system. Eating regular, balanced meals with protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Avoiding long gaps between meals that spike cortisol. Reducing refined sugar and ultra-processed carbs. Prioritizing sleep and consistent bedtimes. Choosing gentle, consistent movement over intense overtraining. Managing daily stress, even in small ways. Conclusion: when blood sugar becomes more stable, cravings ease naturally. Energy becomes steadier. Brain fog lifts. Cycles often become more regular. Skin improves. And weight becomes easier to manage, not because you're forcing your body, but because your hormones are finally working with you instead of against you. If you recognize yourself in these early signs, take it as good news. Your body is communicating early, giving you a chance to respond before insulin resistance turns into something more serious. Paying attention now can prevent years of frustration later. Your body is not broken. It's adaptive, intelligent, and constantly trying to protect you. When you give it the right signals, steady nourishment, rest, calm, and consistency, insulin sensitivity can improve and hormonal balance can begin to return. If this video helps you, please make sure